Hi, I'm Avdesh, and I'm going to take a topic, Chomsky normal form. Now, the first question is, what is Chomsky normal form and why it is required? Chomsky normal form is a standard format in which we can put any grammar. Now, why should we put any grammar into some standard normal form or standard format? There are multiple standard format. Chomsky normal form is one of that. If we put our grammar into standard format, it would be easy for any machine or algorithm such that it could parse, or in other words, I could say um, um, whether a string could be generated from the given grammar or not. That decision could be taken in polynomial time, or it would take a lesser time in comparison to if the grammar are not in standard format. So for any grammar, it is desirable if it is in a standard format. It would be very easy for any machine or algorithm to use that grammar. Now, for today's topic, it's a Chomsky normal form. The format of Chomsky normal form is like this: a variable in produces exactly two variables, or a variable produces a single terminal. So if a given grammar, if each and every production of a given grammar is either in this format or this format, then we would say the given grammar is in Chomsky normal form or CNF. Otherwise, it is not. For example, if I would take this grammar, there are four production. S produces AS and S produces a terminal small a, and capital A produces SA and capital A produces a terminal B. So in these four productions, if you would see all the four productions, each and every production is either in this format or in this format. S goes to AS. This is in this format, and S produces A is this format. Similarly here, A produces SA is of this type, and SA produces B is of this type. So in this grammar, all the four productions are in CNF format. So we would say this grammar is CNF or Chomsky normal form. Let's take another example. If I would take this grammar, now here there are also four productions. First production, S produces AS, is in this format, but the second production, S produces AAS. Here in this production, S produces AAS. On the right hand side, there are three variables, while in our format, there should be only exactly two variables. So due to this production, S produces AAS, this grammar is not in CNF format. Apart from that, capital A produces two small a, two times small a. This production is also not in this format. So due to these two productions, our given grammar is not in Chomsky normal form. No, if a grammar is not in Chomsky normal form, what could we do? Is there any treatment for that? Could we convert a grammar to Chomsky normal form? The answer is yes. In this lecture, we are converting a context-free grammar to Chomsky normal form. So, having said that, we are converting a context-free grammar to CNF. in each and every production on the left hand side, exactly one variable would be there for CFG, for context free grammar. So if a context free grammar is given and we have to convert that grammar to Chomsky normal form, there are some steps we have to follow. Step one, first, remove epsilon production and unit production from given grammar. So if there is any epsilon production in given grammar, we have to remove that. And if there are unit production, we also have to remove that. So after removing these two type of productions, obviously if they were there, we get a resultant grammar, a grammar which is free from epsilon production and unit production. Now step two, what would we do for all those production which are not in CNF and having terminals? Introduce a new variable for all terminal. Now, what does that mean? We simply we would take an example and to demonstrate that. And step three, now for all those production which are not in CNF, introduce new variables such that no production having more than two variable on its right hand side. Now, what does the meaning of these statements? Let's take an example. Let's convert. Let's check it out whether this given grammar G is CNF or not. And if it is not, then we would convert it into CNF. Now, there are three productions. S produces A, B, small a terminal. Now, this production is not in standard format. This production is neither in this production is neither in this form nor this form. So due to this production, the given grammar is not in CNF. Now we have the given grammar is not in CNF. We have to convert it into CNF. For that, first we have to check whether is there any epsilon production or unit production. So there are no epsilon production and there is no unit production. So there is nothing to do for step one. It is already in a format in which there are no epsilon production and no unit production. For step two, all those first we have to identify the productions which are not in Chomsky normal form. Now this B produces A, this is small c. So all three productions are not in standard format. This is not because there is a terminal, there is a combination of terminal variable. This is not in format because there are three terminals which is not allowed for CNF. And there is one variable and one terminal that is also not required. So all three productions are not in CNF. So we would apply step two for that. What would we do? All those productions which are not in CNF and having terminal on the right hand side. So this qualify for that, this qualify for that, and this also qualifies for that. For that means we would treat all three production in step two. Now what is the treatment? We convert each and every terminal to some variable, some new variable. So what would we do? For this production, we would convert this small a to some variable. So instead of small a, we would put some new variable, let's say x, capital X. So this production would be converted into a, b, x. Now x produces a. Now these two productions are now in CNF. These two productions are now in CNF. Similarly, for this production, A produces three terminal. We would put some variable on the basis of on the place of terminals, and we would take care of one thing. If we already converted a terminal into variable, then we would not again translate a terminal into variable, since we have use this production, capital X produces A. Now, wherever A comes, we would use capital X. So instead of AAB, we would put capital X here, capital X for second A for capital X, and the third symbol is B. Now, so far there we have not converted B into some variable, so we would put a new variable for B, that is Y. So this production A produces AAB terminal, all three are terminals. We would put A produces XXY. No, Y would be converted to B. So this production would be converted to these two productions. Now we are going to treat the third production for in given grammar, that is B produces A variable, C a terminal. So this A is variable and this C is terminal. Now the same fashion we would convert this C to some variable. So we would put Z here. So this production B produces A C would be converted to B produces capital A capital Z and Z produces C. So our given grammar, which has three productions, is now converted to a grammar in which there are six productions. So I simply put all, combined all, collect all six production into at one place here. So no, what step 3 says, take the output of step 2 and check which productions are not in CNF. I repeat, in step 3, we would take the output of step 2 and in these production, we would check which productions are not in CNF. So this is not in CNF. Why? Because there are three variables on the right hand side. This is also not in format because again there are three variables on the right hand side, while in standard format there should be exactly two variables. So this is also not in format. Now this production B produces AZ, it is in format. X produces a terminal already in format. Y produces terminal format. Z produces C format. So these two productions are not in format. So we are going to treat only these two production, while remaining would be intact. We are not going to change these production, and that would be part of our final answer. So for that, as produces ABX, we are going to treat it first. For that, what would we do? So instead of three variable, we have to convert it into two variable. So what would we do? We put one new variable in place of last two variables. I repeat, the production which is not in CNF, we pick that production and there is a guarantee of something. The guarantee of something is that if there is a production which is not in CNF, it must be the reason. What must be the reason be? There would be three or more than three variable on the right hand side in the production. Why it is so? Because if there were terminal and it is not in CNF, that would be treated in step 2. So if it is the output of step 2, that means there would be no case where On the right hand side, there is a terminal, and that production is not in CNF. That would not be the case for guarantee. So just take grammar, or production of grammar which is not in CNF. Just replace all the variable except one, except the first variable. Convert all these variable. In this example, there are two, but there could be many. Convert all these variable to some new variable. So I pick d1, a new variable. So instead of bx, I put d1. So this instead of the production s produces abx, I would put s produces a d1, and now d1 produces bx. And now suppose if there were more productions, more variables would be there. So what could we do? We simply replace. We would simply repeat this process again and again till we get all the productions are in a format where left hand side having one variable and right hand side having exactly two variables. The same way, the way we treating this production, the same way we would treat these productions and as well, because both are in same format. There are three variable on the right hand side of this production as well. So simply what would we do? Instead of xy, we would put a new variable, let's say d2. Now a produces x d2 and d2 produces xy. So these two productions are converted into these four productions. So our final answer would be, so instead of these two production, we would write these four production. So these four productions along with these four production would be our answer. So our answer would be S produces A D1, D1 produces B, these four productions along with these four production. B produces AZ. So in this way, we would convert the grammar to a Chomsky normal format. Thank you. Signing off.